Good morning, Jedi. Hopefully you guys are having a great start to your week. I know a lot of us had a great day yesterday with some green, some profits, even into the late afternoon. So hopefully you had the opportunity to take advantage of some of those short calls and even the long calls. But if you're in either or and you're trying to decide which one should I be cutting or where should I be adding, this is kind of where I want to dive into this today, because it does look a little tricky on the lower time frames, such as like a 1 hour, 2 hour, or even lower than that. But if we stick to our main plan, or at least the theory of what we've been tracking, it's going to be that falling three pattern. Now it's a little wonky, and we're going to zoom in a little bit more, but there are specific areas that we need to be focused on to make sure that it is not reclaimed in order to invalidate a falling three pattern. That being said, right now we are looking at a 2-day. You can see some levels that I have marked off, and you can actually see the gaps that are in between. So right off the bat, if we bust right through this order block right here in the 1664 range, then this gap right here is just going to be like a teleport, if you will. So it would invalidate a falling three, but this is becoming a significant area for that falling three, and that's the reason why I've been tracking this. So let's zoom in a little bit here. We can see we had a change of character from this massive drop. This was back on the 17th of August. And so far we've had a decent pullback to 1745. And so this essentially would be a swing point. We had another low from that high, but we didn't make a lower low. We just made a low. So this becomes another swing. And you can see that the highs are getting lower. So we had another swing up to here. This was just yesterday where we tapped into this order block. And then we just started retracing, and actually we dumped all the way down to these 1630 levels. As you go into the lower time frames, you can kind of zoom in a little bit more. But this area, right? Let's put a array on that real quick. Right, so we're looking for something to claim that. We're looking for a body above that in order to invalidate a falling three. So you have your large candle down, and I'm utilizing this candle because this is where the drop began. So that's why I was mentioning it's a little wonky, but the pattern is there. So we had a fall, we had a drop, then we had three moves up, and it's okay if you have a fourth candle, or at least if one of those candles is bearish. Not all three of them or even all four of them have to be bullish. One of them can be bearish. So essentially it's what happens here in this area that really matters on this candle. Now this candle closes above this yellow line right here, 1647. In my professional opinion, it's going to invalidate a falling three. I'm not going to completely take it off the table because I would want to see it break through this, and then essentially this would turn into a falling wedge. I'm leery on the falling wedge simply because we only have 2 hits, and I'd like to see at least a third or fourth hit, which would put us somewhere around in this range for a falling wedge. So that would be like the bullish perspective, not necessarily making a new low. We could come somewhere around here, or even come somewhere around right over here, which is like 1504. Like these levels would make sense for me to tap into here, and then we move on up out of here. But as of right now, if you take a measured move, right? Let's just say we're measuring this move right here from that top to this bottom. So the next move should put us around here, which is right inside this order block, maybe even a little bit lower. Now the falling three is a continuation pattern. It's not a reversal. So we're still bearish, right? The overall trend is your friend, is still bearish. So if it were to perform this this pattern, then it's just continuation, not reversal. That being said, I feel that we need to go lower in order to see that reversal, in order for us to push back and reclaim some of these areas, fill in some of this imbalance. I see that having to happen in order for us to hit that target. But let's dive into slightly lower time frames. I like to look at a 12-hour. From here, it's start of the day, kind of gives me an idea as far as what that momentum looks like. I'm gonna take this off because this could get distracting later. Right, so we tapped, We had another hit here. Some of us took this long up to here. We'll dive into that in a second. But this candle, let's look at some DMIs and other indicators. You guys know I like the DMI, and as we can tell, you know, it has a bearish trend that's trying to establish, but it's very, very weak. The momentum is very, very low. The strength in it is, it's almost flat. So it's not something that I'm looking at going, yeah, this is definitely bullish. I need to start stacking on to my my longs. On the contrary, I would actually be looking to scalp my longs and build my short. I'll flip right back to a 2-day for a brief moment. This is kind of what I'm referring to and why I'm referring to that on a DMI. Yes, on a 2-day, the momentum has gone down and there's been a little bit of strength that we've lacked, but we haven't crossed over the 25. So to me, this tells me that this is just a pullback or a resting period for bears before they want to take more control. Because the second this points its nose back up, your ADX is already over your DM negative, which is the purple line. So all the strength is there, all the pieces are there. All it has to do is just move its head up, and then you'll see a massive leg down. So that's why when I go over to a 12-hour, I don't give it much faith, just because on a bullish perspective, simply because this can change in an instant. Now I want to dive a little bit deeper. Let's go into a 4-hour, and then we're going to jump into a 90 and jump into a 30. So you can see on a 4-hour, right, we have a strong bullish candle here, but hard rejection here. And remember that 2-day, right? That falling wedge line, if you will, like we're still tapped underneath it. So going back to the 2-day again, we need to have claims above here, right? It's kind of where we're very close in that area. And the 2-day closes in another 10 hours. So by the end of business today, we should have a confirmation if this is going to flip into a bullish move or if it's going to fall into that bearish move. Now on this 4-hour, we took a cipher entry around 1664. Some folks are taking it right on the bottom of this order block. That's good. There's nothing wrong with that. This is something that you want to monitor in the sense of shorts, because it could use this area as liquidity. And again, going back to that 2-day, right? Just punch everybody out, come and tap something like this, and then retrace all the way back down. So just be careful with your shorts in this area. Be sure to take profits as you go along the way. Longs, you're nobody long up here. Nobody take a long up there. That's that would be a foolish move to take that, just because you could be taken out real quick. We look at a 30, right? Because we're going to come down a little bit lower, and we can see what's going on here on the lower time frames. Yes, it has a bullish trend, because you can see this trend is moving up. Momentum is somewhat there, but the strength isn't there. That's why you're not seeing legs, and that's why you're not seeing higher highs. If this ADX was above the DM positive, then you would see strong legs. Go back to a 2-day just for reference, right? So when DM negative went above 25 and then the ADX went above it, we got these big giant legs. So just use that as a reference. When ADX is above, right? Come over here back into April. When the ADX is above 25 and above whatever position, whether it be DM negative or DM positive, you get big legs. So that's how we're getting these big legs. Flip back down to that 30. ADX is falling flat. So what I'm seeing and what I'm gauging by this is all these moves up, these are going to be essentially pullbacks on a higher time frame. That's why I was mentioning it's probably a good idea to start building the short, but just, you know, obviously be cautious in the sense that you need to get out if we bust through this, because if it busts through this purple box here, then we have that gap. And it's just going to be a straight elevator ride from here up to, you know, 17 something. So that's a good amount of profit. And if you're not long from these lower time frames, if it breaks out from here, this is where you want to take your long you want to take it on a retest. I'm floating around between 12-hour, 4-hour, and even jumping to a 15 and 30. I really just want to get a perspective on the lower time frames, what the RSI looks like from a overbought situation, how much strength is in that. If I'm looking at the money flow, we're going to have some type of deviation from that because, you know, MFI is shooting up higher, but we don't have the same momentum, right? We don't have the same amount of volume to match that. So this is probably going to have a sharp correction, if you will, kind of something like this. Tapped out, overbought, and then hard push down. That's why you got a strong buy candle and then you had a strong sell candle. So longs, I feel they should be scalps at this moment. That's at least what I'm doing. I'm scalping them out. My shorts, I'm stacking inside this order block until you know, deem otherwise. I'm keeping a tight stop loss. I am keeping both, right? I'm looking for long positions and I'm looking for short positions. So if I scalp out a long, I'll keep a portion of that back so that way I have a runner. So if I need to add to that, I already have a decent amount in the tank to keep my average a little bit lower. So it's going to take a little bit of work today on both sides. The buys can flip in either way, but we're more bearish than bullish. And just again, for confirmation, you want to look on your higher time frames, your 2 days, your 1 days, weekly. We're in the middle of the week, so I don't know if that would really be beneficial to you, but I feel like a 2 day, 3 day, or even a 1 day would really give you guys some perspective. If you guys have questions about this, just leave it in the comment section or just shoot me a message inside the classroom. And happy trading, guys. Talk to you soon.